Welcome to the changes in force and motion vocabulary, also known as speed. First word we're going to talk about is speed. So speed is how fast an object is moving with respect to time. So a good example of this would be 20 meters per second, or I bet all of you driving down the road have seen a speed limit sign. One might say 35 miles per hour. That's the one right here in front of school. If the lights are blinking, speed limit's 35 miles per hour. So there's that silly per again. When you see that line in between, think per. So meters per second, miles per hour. You get the idea. Our next word is average speed. So an average speed is the total distance divided by the total amount of time traveled. So speed equals distance divided by time. So I think you might have it figured out. This one is going to be a whole lot like density as far as there's going to be a lot of math involved here. So don't be scared. Y'all already have it figured out. You know how to do the division because it's the same thing we did with density, only instead of finding density, now we're going to find speed. So here we have constant speed. Constant speed is when the speed of an object remains the same. It doesn't increase or decrease. I always think of like cruise control in a car. So if your mom or dad has ever driven, say, down the highway or really anywhere, and they use their cruise control button, all that does is hold the car at a constant speed. I use it all the time because if I don't, I have a tendency to drive a little bit too fast and I don't want to get a speeding ticket. So I always use the cruise control to keep me at a constant speed. Here we have a second, and a second, I bet you already know what that is. A second is a unit of measurement for time. So we've got a bunch of different measurements for time that we might see. A minute, we got second, minute, hour, day. Any of those things might work, but the one we're probably going to use most during this speed unit is going to be a second, okay? So second unit of measurement for time. Next we have a meter, and a meter is a unit measurement for distance. So a meter has 100 centimeters in it. A meter, oh, it's probably close to 3 foot. It's pretty close to a yard. You probably heard or seen a meter stick here and there. So a meter is a unit measurement for distance. So we talked about newtons quite a bit whenever we started talking about balanced and unbalanced forces. And if you remember, a newton is a unit used to measure force. The symbol for the unit newton is just an N. So we're going to be talking about distance time graphs, and a distance time graph is going to look something like this, and we'll be able to see acceleration on that graph. And acceleration is simply the change in speed of an object. Most people think that acceleration only means if you go faster than what you were going before, but acceleration can also go the other way. So if you are going fast and you slow down, scientifically speaking, that's still acceleration. It's just going from fast to slow instead of slow to fast, which kind of throws a bunch of people off, but it's okay. Now you know. So we're going to be seeing a bunch of line graphs, and a line graph is a graph in which the data is represented by points connected by one or more lines. So we've got a ton of different kinds of graphs in the world, but the one we're going to be using during this unit is a line graph. Next, here is this distance time graph that I was telling you about. So a distance time graph is a graph that represents the distance traveled in a certain amount of time. It's a line graph. You can tell by looking at the picture right here, there's a line that's connected by points on a graph. Okay, so next, let's talk about these graphs. How are we going to tell the difference between the line that goes up and down and the line that goes side to side? Well, there are an X and a Y axis. The X axis is the horizontal line on a line graph. And if you were to stand up and look outside your house or out the window, you would look out towards the horizon. Does anybody know what the horizon is? Well, the horizon is the place where the sky meets the ground, way out from where you're standing. So where the sky meets the ground is the horizon, and if you look, that horizon is going side to side. That's how we know the horizontal line on a line graph is the one that goes side to side. So if you see horizontal line, I want you to think of the horizon line. Look out your window and it goes side to side. That's going to be your x-axis, okay? Now the other axis that we have on these line graphs is the y-axis, and if the horizontal line goes side to side, the vertical line is going to go up and down. So the y-axis is the vertical line on a line graph. Vertical just means up and down, okay? So I hope that helps you remember a little bit. Y'all are fantastic.